everybody? We are excited to be back. It is Thursday night. Should I just start saying Star Wars now? Star Wars? We're
Yes.
back, Star Wars. It's Thursday, Star Wars. Welcome to the Geeks with Wives and Capes, episode 88. As always, I'm your host, DarthSparrow, and I'm excited because for the first time in a while, I am back on with not only the Brad over here, but I'm also on with Mr. Casey Walsh. Casey, how you doing tonight, man? Welcome back.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm trying to wrangle around an insane 3-year-old right now.
What's that like? Like, how exactly do you wrangle the 3-year-old? What do you got to do to wrangle a 3-year-old?
Kind of like wrangling a tauntaun. So it's a lot of yelling and directional positioning.
Is the smell better? Is the smell better?
No, not at all. Probably worse.
Is there a lot of kind of sounds going on too?
Yeah, a lot of noise, very smelly, very dirty.
Yes. Awesome, man. How's things? How's life been for you, man?
Busy, super busy. So I'm happy to be back on the podcast tonight.
Awesome, man. It's good to see you as always. And of course, as we mentioned, we are joined again by the awesome, the super knowledgeable, the ever amazing Mr. Brad Bell. Brad, what's happening, man?
I'm doing great. I finally survived the pollen that Poison Ivy dumped on Charlotte, North Carolina here. So I'm getting over that sickness, and it's off the cars and everything. So between that ending and I'm coming down from the geekasm I had earlier today for the Force Awakens trailer, yes. I'm doing as good as you can be.
Hey,
what about shameless plug? Speaking of Poison Ivy, make sure everyone goes and signs Piper's petition and get Poison Ivy a comic so that she'll dance around in her cosplay playing Just Dance live on a Twitch stream.
Yes. Who doesn't want to see that, right? I
think we all do. So 1,000 signatures. Let's get there, everybody. Get Poison Ivy a comic.
That's how she's going to celebrate her college graduation, so pitch into that, guys.
Yes. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. I'm super excited. We got so much to talk about, man. So we should just get right underway because
Wait, did you introduce yourself?
No, I don't need to do that. I did. I said who I am. Hi, I'm the guy that talks a lot now. I run this ragtag show. We'll get into me later. But right now, let's introduce our awesome guest. We are joined today by Mr. Jacob Semahn, writer and creator of the book Goners. Jacob, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to our little corner of crazy on the internet.
It's been pretty interesting.
You have no idea what you've gotten into. So
today was really weird. I was kind of insulated today in my office, and I was just working on some scripts and stuff like that. And then I turned on the internet, and Star Wars was there, and it's like, holy shit! Oh, can I cuss? Sorry.
Hey, you can.
Just jump right into it.
Definitely can. You definitely can. So before I get into the usual chit chat before we talk about your book, I have to ask you, what is the picture to your right looks like? It looks like Superman, like X-ray vision and some cleavage or something.
It's from an artist. His name is like Ken Gardino.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's he drew it. It's like Superman using X-ray vision to, I guess, see through Lois's blouse, which is kind of weird, but it's like in a Mad Men type way.
Right.
That is truth, justice in the American way, if I've ever seen it.
It's just like if you had X-ray vision, that's what you'd be doing. Every male would.
Yeah, I love his art. He's at San Diego all the time. Yeah, it's kind of a little sexist and weird, but at the same time, it's very Mad Men-esque, and I kind of really vibe towards that. So.
No, it's super cool, man. It caught my eye as soon as you came on.
Yeah, he's got like really accentuated, anatomy and stuff like that. So it's really interesting. Let me see if I can do this. Boom.
Show us. Oh yeah. You guys, those of you listening should be watching so you can see this awesome drawing. It's really great.
Yeah. Well,
that's cool, Jacob.
I'll put that back later.
Now we got that going on. So Jacob, you hail from California also, correct?
Yeah.
What part of California are you
from? I'm in Glendale right now. So
okay.
I mean, if you don't know California, Southern California, close to LA, like 10 minutes away from LA.
It's where Kim Kardashian lives, everybody. So
yeah, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Like a mayor or something of Glendale.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of loud outside because they're celebrating Armenian genocide. It's this weekend, so it's kind of crazy outside. I've tried to insulate the sound a little bit. I don't know if it's helped in any kind of way.
So we were talking before the show, and I said that kind of it was an oxymoron because I heard partying and then genocide. Like, what kind of partying does one
Yeah,
do to celebrate Armenian genocide?
it's that,
Are we
that
really,
really,
are we
it
really
really
talking about this right now? Is
We
this what
are.
we're getting into?
I want to know what's
I
going
don't.
on where Jacob
It's not
lives.
so much a party like I think that they just families get together and they all just kind of celebrate just the remembering of the
Yeah,
genocide.
it's,
So
it's
I
kind of
mean,
it's kind
yeah,
of
I
like
don't know if
how
it's
my Hispanic brothers and sisters do when we have a funeral. We just party forever.
yeah, they're not bringing down the house or anything. It's just a lot of people. So
Gotcha. Cool. Well, we can hear you just fine. So,
yeah,
anyways,
cool,
enough about that. Enough about your
nice.
crazy. Yeah. Before Casey gets mad at me again.
You're
Try,
bringing up things people on our audio podcast can't see.
I'm trying to. Well,
Armenian
we
genocide.
can't see the partying going on anyway, so we're cool. Jacob, so let's talk first about your origin story and how you got into comics.
My secret identity. No,
Yes, please.
I come. I mean, it's kind of a long, winding road, so I'm going to try to go real quick. For the most part, I've worked in television since I graduated from film school. I worked as a PA, and a lot of winding roads. The writer's strike happened. I ended up working in reality television. I worked on So You Think You Could Dance
Uh-huh.
and American Idol as an associate producer and a content producer.
Oh, you
and
know, those
are-
little tiny shows. I've never heard of those.
Oh, yeah.
No one's
What
ever heard
shows
of
are
that.
these?
It was
American Idol. What's that?
Yeah, well,
I've
for
never-
Idol, it was the web side, the web content side. So it was like all the videos that would go up on the web for when you vote and stuff.
Okay.
And
So you didn't have to deal with Simon or anything crazy like that?
no, it was season 10, so it was Steven Tyler, which was awesome,
Okay.
and J Lo.
I can imagine him coming in and, Jacob, I look terrible in these web videos. Fix them. Come on.
I want
with the
to
program.
tell you that video was absolutely ghastly.
Jacob. All right, enough about Simon Cowell. Tell the listeners the great work you did on Disney XD, the great shows you've been able to write for.
Ooh.
So just flash forward like 2 years, and I ended up in a roundabout way getting a script through Steven T. Seagal from Man of Action on Ultimate Spider-Man. Season 1, so I worked on that on episode, I think it was like 13. It was like the Doc Ock, becoming like the big bad kind of guy.
Oh yeah.
So I worked on that episode, and then I ended up doing the finale for season 1, and then I kind of was able to become a regular writer with Man of Action on all their type of cartoons, whether it's domestic or foreign. I worked on Marvel's Avengers Assemble through all the seasons, and yeah, I mean, it's been kind of a crazy ride, and then just knowing Man of Action, I would also be with them during conventions and whatever, and I would be introduced to people that work in comics, and that's how I met Eric Stevenson, and that's a roundabout way of pretty much how I kind of built a relationship with Image, and I finally got an artist on board that I think that he vibed towards. Which was Jorge Corona, and Goners got picked up pretty much the moment I pitched it. So it was actually really fortuitous. Everything happened in a kind of a long serpentine way, but it happened in a great way, and I feel really fortunate just to be here today.
All right, that was a lot of things in a very short period of time. So
Yeah.
let's go back to Avengers. Let's go back to Avengers Assemble because I have a question because I'm always curious about this. I watch a lot of cartoons, probably way too many for a grown man of my age.
Mhm.
But
Same
I
here.
always notice that when the movie comes out, they always have like a very like Avengers eccentric episode. So like now, or a very like similar episode. So now like that it's on right now, like it's all Ultron stuff coming up. So like, did someone come into a room and be like, all right, Jacob, we need like the movie's coming out, we need we need a Loki centered episode. And there's got to be Chitauri in it, and maybe like a little Thanos. Like, can you do that for us?
Well, they definitely know in advance. Well, someone knows, and that someone is Joe Quesada. He knows in advance everything that's going to happen, and he doesn't give a lot away, but he kind of goes, you can do that, no to that. So he kind of guides it and basically forms what we can expect and what characters that we think that we should start planning for, because animation takes about 2 years for us to start, and then by the time it gets on TV, so it's like almost like a 2-year difference.
To spin off of what Casey was asking,
Mm-hmm.
how much freedom are you given to say, write Spider-Man? Are you able to use any experiences or influence you have had from reading the character when you're writing Spider-Man or Hawkeye or Tony Stark?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you have to kind of be handicapped to the way the character is specifically geared on that show?
Well, it's definitely not. We're definitely not doing the comic. We're doing the cartoon, and the edict that came down from the very start was we're making it for kids. So it's like the goal for kids who also buy toys. It's 5 to 10-year-olds, and we also try to make it a little older than that. Well, kids, but we try to make it older than that so that because kids like older things.
Yeah.
So we try to skew it towards teenagers, and we kind of create it from the ground up through the animation side of things. We don't really try to base it off of too many comic books because there's a long history there, and it's continuity based, and it's very heavy.
Just little
also,
things like maybe like a nod or something, or a one-liner. Like, I really want to throw in this Spider-Man line that I may have heard. I mean, tell me you've never done that. You've had to have, right?
No, I'm sure. I mean, I've written so many of these things. I know that sounds really weird to say, but
you put a lot of pressure on the guy, Brad. Like, come on, man.
I'm not trying to go Larry King
waiting for like the light to come on my face. No, actually, I'm trying to think of a specific. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's really hard for me to think of one off the top of my head, but we definitely do a lot of things that are kind of nods to comic book centric things. But we don't really necessarily go in and go, oh, we're gonna tell like what was the Age of Ultron was like the new one, right? Or I don't think we go into any of those thinking that we're gonna tell those stories. That was Earth's Mightiest Heroes. They did most of that, where they kind of brought all the really cool comic book related things, and they kind of just made them animated.
Best cartoon ever.
We're just trying to make our own.
After 2 seasons, what the fuck?
Yeah, I really liked Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I've watched a little of Avengers Assemble. I just had to cut that out because I had to go to work.
Nah, it's all good. I liked Earth's Mightiest Heroes as well. It was a really fun show, especially when you know the stories that were being told because you grew up on the comic book version of them, and you can see them played out in animation. I thought it was really cool.
Jacob, out of the characters you write, like for Avengers and Spider-Man, is there any particular character you really like writing more, and why?
There was one. It's not really so much. Okay, so Black Widow's my favorite character in the Avengers, but I think my favorite convergence of characters where I had to team up like really odd couple type characters. It was a Spider-Man episode where I had Spider-Man, Captain America, and Wolverine, and they went to Madripoor to face off against Arcade.
Okay.
That was like a really fun episode because it's just so many different personalities, and you have like 2 legends who are relatively old.
Yeah.
And then Spider-Man, who's like the kid that like pretty much we made Arcade into a character that was kind of like a gamer type character, a modern day gamer type character. So Spider-Man had more kind of knowledge on this type of stuff, so he was kind of the guy that the old legends weren't really listening to.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I know how this goes. Like, why don't you guys just listen to me? That was a really fun episode, top to bottom. I had a really good time writing it.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your book, Goners. Tell us a little bit about the premise of your book.
It's a world like our own, but just take out the last like couple hundred years of we all believe in folklore, we all believe in superstition. That exists in this world, but it's like a modern tale of it. What would that world look like? Mm-hmm. And so there's this one family called the Latimers, which I keep comparing them. It's the easiest way to compare them, but Swamp Thing is to like the green and Animal Man is to the red. That's what they are to the mankind. Mm-hmm. And they are the protectors of man against all these things that go bump in the night. And the current family is turned into a brand to fund their endeavors, because I figured that's what would happen if you had to basically make a living off of doing this. You I mean, you have to have a reality show and get paid for it. So
Right.
live on this reality show, the parents, Raleigh and Evelyn Latimer, get killed for the world to see and for the children to see. And now that there's a power vacuum that's open, these kids now are being attacked and hunted, and they don't know why.
Yeah.
And they basically have to kind of rise up untrained and take up the mantle of their parents and try to figure out who killed them and why.
When I was reading the book, like if I had to sum it up, I would say kind of the theme is living up to legacy. So you drop us right in, and I read the end of the first issue, and you brought up the analogy of the JFK assassination, the lecture you heard in school. And you know, and it's not so much about JFK's assassination. We always think about that, but how did that impact people? How did the legacy of the Kennedy family moving forward, how was that influenced? And you were talking about how you were in a kind of a boring lecture, and as a history teacher myself, I can kind of relate to that. Hopefully I'm not that teacher that you're talking about. However, I just thought it was a very interesting approach. You drop us right into the two Latimer parents, and then boom, it's all right. How do they deal with that tragedy?
Right. Yeah. So it was kind of a different take on things because I really wanted to drop the reader in blindly. I didn't want to give any kind of background as to what they're getting into, and I didn't really want to give a lot of background into the family. I wanted them to learn as much as the kids learned, because there's a lot of secrets that are revealed that the kids find out, and I think that place of being in the dark, I think, really helped the mystery of the book. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I kept thinking of what can make this story unique, because in general, the story of a family that hunts monsters is not, I mean, I've seen that story a million times, but I figured, you know, the end of the legacy of a family that's been doing it for recorded history, and they're famous, and basically a very public event like a JFK assassination happens, what happens to that family? And that's what we follow. So, I mean, that was my in, and I really... I don't find history class boring, but it was really odd to watch the string outs of the JFK assassination. I was in college, so I guess that's cool. It wasn't like an elementary school.
Yeah.
But it was really odd because I remember anticipating when it was going to get shot. I remember sitting there and just like entranced in it, and it was just cutting from all the different footage from the crowd that was collected, and it's all silent because it's old school 8mm, 60mm. And you're just waiting for it to happen, and once it does, it's just kind of gut-wrenching. So to have that impact on me still, I feel like is a significant point in history for everyone.
And there's a lot of suspense in this book, and as you talk about suspense as well, and as you're waiting for that to happen in class, it's kind of like the old Alfred Hitchcock thing, right? If you know the bomb's going to go off, then it's not the bomb going off that's the big deal. It's the anticipation that the audience knows the bomb's going to go off.
Exactly.
And I think that's one of the things that's done very well in the book is the building of suspense.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Jacob, go ahead, Gracie. Go ahead.
Yeah, you go. You go.
Fight over me. Just fire.
We're
gonna fight over you, man.
Jacob's mine. He's mine. He's mine.
Jacob, I was going to ask you what sort of things influenced you, you know, in your early career, and maybe influenced this book a little bit. Like, what kind of things did you watch as a kid, or what kind of things were you into?
Well, the number one thing that I would say really influenced this book, just kind of in the overall kind of feeling that one gets reading it, hopefully, that I hope people are getting at least, is Monster Squad. And not a lot of people. Yeah, and that's great. I love when people have seen it, because I've actually pitched it as Monster Squad to a lot of people. It kind of like meets like Hellboy in a Hellboy type world.
Right.
And everyone kind of just looked at me and they're like, "What's Monster Squad?" I was like, "Oh my god, it makes me so mad," because it's so fantastic. Yeah. And I even do a nod to it at the end of the story arc. I do a nod to Black and Decker with on the mic it says B&D. Yeah. Because that's a very Monster Squad ending. Yes. But for the most part, that's kind of the overall. I think what I really come at it from is that love for kids overcoming just incredible, crazy scenarios, and having to figure it out on their own, and the adults kind of are there in like in the background trying to support them, but like overall, these kids are the only ones that can do it.
Yeah.
And I really do try to put them through the ringer. I try to do like a John McClane on these kids, where I just at the end of the fucking book, I want them to be all bloody and bruised and whatever, because I feel like once you show how much they've gone through, that pays off so much more, that these kids like are now ready to be the next in line, to take over the mantle.
Yeah,
so,
you do it with such an uncomfortable ferocity that by the end of it, I was in tears, just being like, "Oh my God, thank God it's over!" Like I can't handle it anymore. I can't handle these poor kids getting just thrown into the gauntlet over and over again. Like having to face those monsters like face to face, like you would just be constantly shitting your pants and running.
Yeah.
I don't know how they got anything done. I don't like it just shows how strong they are, especially together. So it really comes across that way.
Sweet. Oh, I got that from Stephen King. So and all those books where they have to overcome stuff. It's like he puts those kids through the ringer, and they fucking have to like come out the other side and save the day. And so like that's kind of where I came at it from, that element. Right. And then you got John Carpenter with the whole one night trying to escape type deal. I did that. So there's a lot of influences for sure, but they're mostly all horror influences. So it's Spielberg, maybe not.
When I first opened the issue, when I was dropped into the initial Latimer family, the parents, I immediately got this tactical, badass Ghostbusters type vibe to it, even though, it definitely wasn't that. It was more family-centric, but at first it was like Ghostbusters meets Hellboy meets BPRD. It's a good, mesh of all these different things.
Are you saying the Ghostbusters aren't a family, Brad?
Well, they're a family to me and you, Casey. I'm just talking about biologically.
Jacob, tell us about some of the characters in this book, because speaking of all the things that we kind of like took from it and felt like your book was an amalgamation of a lot of things that we all know and love. Another one I kind of picked up on was a little bit of Venture Brothers, especially with the character Francis. He kind of is like the Brock Sampson of your story. Tell us a little bit about that character.
Francis, in general, he's the guy. Okay, so the family through the generations, they have these things called creations, and they make them to basically protect the next in line. So they're kind of like the bodyguards to, like, imagine a family in, like, a rich family in Brazil, and they like hire people to like watch their kids go to school and take them back from school back home. It's like the same idea. You have an otherworldly type creation that they make. And they're all different. They're all made from different things. You get to choose on your own. It's almost kind of like your rite of passage in that generation is to make creation to protect the furthering generations for what happens after. Right. So Francis, without giving too much away, because he's something else, but he's also the most humanistic of all the creations because he was given a name. They're all just usually given numbers. Right. And to give a creation a name is to also give it kind of idea of self and of a soul. So for the most part, Francis kind of is aware of himself, and he also has a kind of like an undying, wavering dedication for these kids, but he's also the guy that is always too late. He protects, but he's always the guy that barely protects. So fortunately, these kids haven't been under attack very often, so he hasn't really had to step up a lot. But when he has, he's always kind of messed up a little bit. So throughout the book, you kind of see his story arc kind of takes it from, well, I'm the guy that's kind of always messing up, to the guy that steps up and does his job.
He reminds me a lot of Hey Mitch in Hunger Games in that regard. Kind of the guy who's kind of, the burnout, but really evolves.
What are you, a 16-year-old girl? Get out of here.
Hey, I love the books, I'm not going to lie.
The books are way better than the movie.
I agree.
In your defense, Brad.
I don't. What's the book? What is that? Is that pictures in it?
It's like a comic book without pictures.
No, I don't play that game.
Do they make books that don't have Star Wars on the front? If they do, I'm not familiar with those.
Apparently, our Hunger Games fucking #1 fan.
Our Hunger Games, yeah. Hey, Team Katniss, baby. Team PETA.
Are there teams?
Hey, there's
Don't they
team
all-
everything.
You guys are bad.
Oh man, we just
At
lost
least
all
it's
of our.
not 50 Shades of Grey like our boy Tommy on the Geeks on Screen.
We lost all of our one Hunger Games fans. Brad's wife. She tuned out.
Casey, go
Done.
ahead.
Jacob, my favorite part of the book is not the children at all. It's the monsters. Sorry, I apologize.
problem.
But I have an affinity with bad things. I don't know what it is. It's probably because like I had such like a peachy keen like good life. I'm like just so like I want to be the bad guy all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I want to be the bad guy. Like I root for the bad guy. I like want to be the villain. So like my favorite character is the Skinwalker for sure. So how did you like decide? Yeah, we've talked about this. How do you decide like what like lore to use and what lore not to use and what monsters to use and whatnot? There's so many to choose from.
Yeah, for goners, I've actually collected a list. I've created a notebook full of just monsters that I read about. I have tons of books on this on the subject behind me on the ground, and I just study up on these things because I have an absolute like affinity just for all things that go above the night, really obscure folklore stuff that people don't really know about. And it's just one of those things that I've really kind of been drawn to, especially through history. And I feel that once I create a book, I kind of try to I build a story, and then I try to see what characters kind of fit in that story. And the Skinwalker actually wasn't part of that at all.
How dare you?
Jorge actually wanted to do a warg animal tamer, and I just started laughing at him because I thought he was kidding, but he was being serious. And I told him that I didn't really want to do something where we create a creature. I want the creatures to kind of have a purpose or a previous kind of folklore kind of background. So just to kind of meet him halfway, I was like, all right, well, I'll look into what I can do. And I found the Skinwalker, and I was like, this is actually like pretty good. We can build a story around this. And I think me and him kind of worked together really well in the respect of fitting the Skinwalker character in without it seeming like it was forced in, which it was. So yeah, I mean, hopefully it
You're
doesn't
breaking
look
my
like it's
heart,
forced in.
Jacob. You're breaking my heart over here.
But now it's my favorite character, my favorite monster character.
Damn straight it is. I really think we should be pitch McFarlane Toys for like a morphing Skinwalker toy. Where, like, remember the old Power Rangers where like you click the little switch, like the head like flips over?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we could totally build one of those for like the Skinwalker. Right? We can make like $100.
$100 worth of merchandising on that one project.
Boom.
It cost a couple thousand to make.
Costs like $5,000 to make.
That's money in the bank right there, Jacob.
But let's please get NECA to make it, not McFarlane.
Whatever.
Be like some weird scale. Sorry, that's the collector coming out in me.
I'll take anybody that wants to make this toy. I think. Okay, we'll make $1,000. We'll make our money back.
Jacob, you drop us into the Latimer story, right? You hit the ground running. I love that aspect of the book. But then as the story unravels, we kind of get flashbacks with the parents and things of that nature. Talk about your choice to, instead of starting with the origin of the Latimers, to drop us in, and then just your feelings on flashbacks overall. Is that something you're a fan of in literature and television and whatnot?
I actually don't really have too much of an opinion on whether it's been overdone or not. I think that flashbacks can be effective if they have a point to the story structure. Mm-hmm. And for our story, I definitely wanted to make it that it was you were blindsided. The reader was blindsided by everything that happens, and that they're on equal footing with these children who now have to figure out what's happening, which can be frustrating for readers who, probably don't know the writer and they don't know if they could trust whether it's going to pay off or not. But I stuck with it, and I think it actually works. I figured that the only way to actually get the payoff of what these kids are going through is to tell it through flashback with the family aspect of it, and then to get more to get further into what happens and what really happened on the dark stuff, that all gets told in like kind of like the watercolor afterlife aspect. And that's not really, I mean, I guess it could be a flashback, but it's kind of a near-death experience type
It's
thing.
kind of like a Flash Sideways, which actually happened and lost at points. So
Yeah,
We
so
don't talk about Lost in this podcast. That is a
are
no-go.
you still sore over it?
they're gonna kill me off before the 100.
It's not purgatory. It's not purgatory. I swear to God, it's not purgatory. It's not heaven. It's not. It's gonna blow your mind. Oh wait, no, it's purgatory. Oh my God. You didn't write on the show, right, Jacob? We're good. Okay.
Jacob, tell us a little bit about the specific art style that you decided to choose to go along with your story. Is it something you definitely had in mind, or is it more something you decided later once you saw, the artist's work that you ended up choosing?
No, it was definitely something that came about after I saw Jorge's portfolio. I mean, he came to my booth. It wasn't my booth. It was Man of Action's booth, but I was there. Yeah. And he came to the booth and he was like, "Hey, is Jake here?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm Jake." And apparently, a guy named artist named Dane Seipel, who worked on a semi-autobiographical graphic novel that I have hopefully coming out soon, worked on it, and he went to SCAD for graduate school, and that's how Jorge and Morgan and Ariella Christiantina. I always mess up her last name. I don't know why. Anyway, they came to the booth at New York City Comic Con, I think in 2013, and I looked at all the portfolios, but Jorge's portfolio was the one that struck me for goners. Like I was like, this art actually, I never thought about it this way, but the cartoon, like the animation vibe, it's not really cartoony. It's just very exaggerated and kind of animated. And when I saw that vibe, I was like, that's actually that would really help the story out a lot, I feel, because there is an innocence that's being lost in the story, and I feel like Jorge's art definitely shows that. If I picked a very serious kind of gritty artist, this book would look completely different. Like it would just have a different vibe. Right. It would seem kind of dour and serious.
Yeah, the fun would be kind of
taken away.
Yeah.
And all those
funny
moments.
It does kind of look like Ben 10 now that I think about it. Like,
and that's Man of Action, isn't Ben 10's a Man of Action cartoon?
Yeah. There you go, Brad. There's a connection. You get it now? Are you with us?
I'm with it. All right. The watercolors. You were talking about the watercolors for the flash sideways, flashbacks, whatever flash you want to call them, the reverse flashes. Did Jorge decide to go with the watercolors, or did you say you wanted a different type of style for that at different points of the story when you were doing those flashbacks or flash sideways?
Actually, Morgan is Jorge's girlfriend, and so when they have a couple of booths at certain conventions and they do commissions, and on Facebook I saw their work together. Like they just posted a bunch of art that they did for commissions, and her like watercolors over his art were just like fantastic. So I immediately wrote Jorge and I was like, hey, we're doing these scenes, and I was gonna have Gabe just kind of make it like a different color palette, but if you want, it would be awesome if we get a limited palette and watercolors and have Morgan do them over your artwork. And he was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. So she came on and she was super rad. She just turned it out like super great. I'm like so happy with the way those pages turned out, because I actually, when I was talking to Gabe about them, I didn't really know he wanted to make it a different look for sure, but I didn't really have an idea of how that could look until I saw their Facebook posts, and I was like, oh, that's the look we should be going for. So
yeah, it worked really well. I mean, watercolors are being used a lot. They're using it in the all new Hawkeye for flashbacks in that book, and those are done very well. But I felt like this was it flowed very well. It wasn't just trying to look over. I mean, to be everywhere, and it wasn't too flashy. And I enjoyed that aspect of the book.
Very cool. Thanks. Yeah, Morgan's great.
What's next, Jacob? Where does Goners go next? You obviously have built an entire world in your head and in notebooks. Where are we going next?
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly the trades
Oh,
actually
you
sold
know. Don't
very
give me that.
well.
You're a TV writer. You know exactly where this is headed and what you're doing.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Hmm,
Terrible.
interesting.
No, I want to do more for sure, but I mean, there's a lot of things that hang on that statement. We all are on board, and it all kind of came down to the numbers. The month-to-month numbers started off really strong, like all books do with Image, because Image is a fantastic company to publish anything through. Their number ones kind of just sell like gangbusters no matter what. But you know, we all kind of, well, not all, but me and Jorge are relatively unknown. So I think a lot of people just trade weighted, and so our numbers were like getting like pretty fucking depressing.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I was like, okay, well, this actually might not be a thing anymore. And we all kind of just like agreed to work on other stuff together. And this is me being completely candid, so
Yeah.
I'm not like trying to bullshit you in any kind of way. But
Yeah.
for the most part, we were all hoping for good trade numbers, and the trade numbers came in, and they were actually really good. They were a lot, like way better than what I expected them to be. So, so it looks like a lot of people trade weighted. So
Yeah,
at this
now
point,
you're gonna get the Geeks with Wives bump, so it'll be even better.
Boom. Bump it.
But then you had to talk shit about Hunger Games, and that fucked everything up.
Sorry about
All those
that.
people left.
Way to go,
All those people
guys.
left. No,
Wires
no.
tomorrow.
Hey, if
So-
anything is like Hunger Games, it's Convergence, and that's selling pretty well, so you should be fine.
That always interested me too, because I feel like even the lowest DC selling book
Yeah.
is still like 25,000, which is insane to me. Because
Yeah.
fucking those numbers are probably probably like 6 times what we were doing. So it's just crazy that that's low selling for them.
Yeah.
So congratulations, DC, on your conversion.
Way to go, guys. Jacob.
Low blow by
Yeah.
Jacob Semahn.
Jacob, if we get more goners, will we see a spider with human head?
It'll be like the human centipede, but just for spiders with heads.
Yes.
They'll just all be attached, and it'll be webbing going through. That's where my mind goes. I don't know why. It's always human centipede with me.
Lovely movie.
Is there a mythology with a spider with human head? I'm sure there is. I know there's a snail with a human head. That's a weird one.
It's from the Monster Squad movie.
Oh, gotcha. You're
Yes.
fucking right. I'm an idiot.
I'm like, come on, Jacob.
Come on, man.
I was like thinking of like actual mythology. I was like,
Yeah.
with human
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Get your
no,
head-
I really, I can't wait. I mean, I've talked to Jorge. He lives in Venezuela, so it's pretty difficult. I got hit with a lofty cell phone bill 1 month, which was crazy. So now we talk over WhatsApp. And we've been talking. We actually have an idea for a follow-up story, and it's kind of now it kind of just hinders on whether the sales were good or not. So the book seems like it did well, but now we got to just find the time.
Right.
I'm pretty busy with just like other work, but Jorge in general has got like he does like 2.5 books a month. I have no idea how he does it.
Never heard of that guy. Who's he again? Jorge.
Jorge who?
Everyone go out and buy Goners. It's fantastic. You'll absolutely love it.
Heck yeah.
Only because you want to read more.
Yes.
No. I'm no way in
Because it's
shape
awesome,
that
and we wanna
selfish.
read more. Jacob, what else are you working on right now?
I can't really talk about the exact shows that I'm working on right now, but I'm working on some more animated shows. They haven't been.
Guardians of the Galaxy. How's Guardians of the Galaxy going?
It hasn't.
I know my stuff, Jacob. Come on.
I'm trying to think if officially announced or not. But anyway, yeah,
it's
so I can't
officially
really
announced.
safely talk about it, especially live. If it was something that I could think that you can cut out, I would be like, oh yeah, and then cut it out, I'll email you. But now we're live.
So Michael
Yeah,
Korvac
it's
shows up in episode 2. He has the power gem. Go.
Oh man, Guardians. I wish I could say I was working on Guardians. that show sounds rad. I saw that teaser thing for it with Rocket Raccoon. That was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm doing that. I got a couple things brewing, just through contacts, publishing contacts, and I'm just trying to. I don't know. I'm just trying to see what's what. I'm always trying to move on and upward with other writing projects. So for the most part, at this point, it's kind of just staying afloat and then moving on with like other things that hopefully can be IP that I create with other people.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
I'm sure you're hearing a lot of Star Wars talk around the TVs and the comics. Do your ears perk up and be like, I can fucking write Star Wars?
The craziest thing about Star Wars is how much I love Star Wars, but at the same time, it's such a vast world that I never got into I never like delved into like the printed novels and
the expanded universe, which is
What's
no
that?
longer canon anymore.
Legends. You mean legends, right?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So yeah, now I realize that they're kind of
better.
retconning it. But at the same time, I feel like there's this huge universe that people like have deadly knowledge about, and I'm sitting here like I like Star Wars just like everybody else. So it would be great to write it.
Pew pew pew. All right.
Yeah, I like the pew pew sounds for sure. That's what got me to be a fan in the first place. Just that sound effect. That and the Wilhelm scream, which is the best scream of all time.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Which scream do you like?" I'm like, "The Wilhelm scream."
Wilhelm. Come on. Is there any
Don't
other
care about
things to
the.
say?
because
If they said, Jacob, if Marvel came to you and said you can write any Star Wars book, but not Han, Luke, Leia, Vader, what would it be? What would you want to write?
I would probably say Boba Fett. I mean, I feel like that's,
I should have
that's
said no
pretty easy.
Boba Fett, because I
Okay,
knew
so
that
no
was
Boba
going
Fett?
to be the answer.
Hey, you said he didn't know all your weird expanded universe characters, Brad. Who else is there besides those four
Hey,
people?
I want to see that Darth Bane comic book, okay?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like, I feel like it would be cool to be like one of those. You know that guard that got eaten by the Rancor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to write a comic about that guy, just like the day in the life of that guy.
See, that would be cool. I think if Marvel did some one-shots like that, that would be really neat.
I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Here's a great comic. Sorry. I have
go
to say it. I'm gonna lose it. Here's a great comic. The life inside of a Sarlacc pit.
Yes.
Like you could change up the character. This is Jacob. This is a sitcom idea. You could change up the cast like every few episodes. You don't have to ever change the set. It'd be super cheap.
Right.
I think we got something going. We could really
It's all got like just spiky walls.
Yeah.
Kind of standing in the center. Just, yeah.
It would be
Digesting
like
for 1,000 years.
it would be like
Like-
what happens when you take one weak-way skiff guard and one stormtrooper and put them inside a Sarlacc pit. Find out on.
Guest
having
starring Luke Skywalker.
They're having dinner on like a table and like they're eating like another like dead person.
And the book would sell 250,000 copies.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Who thought that was going to be a thing? Like,
It's crazy.
I just kept thinking, I'm like, Dark Horse has been doing it the entire time.
Yeah.
I didn't think that, we're going to start at number 1 and kind of retcon it at Marvel, which is going to make it like an instant fucking 500,000 sold or whatever.
It's all about continuity.
In
It's all
March,
about continuity.
in the month of March, do you know out of every publisher what the top 2 books were?
Star Wars, Darth Vader.
I feel like Darth Vader, yeah.
Number 1 was Princess Leia.
Oh, yeah.
Number 1, 250,000 copies. All right, number 2 was Princess Leia. Number 2, 90,000 copies. Those are the Princess Leia. All right, the top 2 selling books in March.
Jason Aaron's not writing that one. Who's writing that one?
Mark Wade.
Yeah, Mark Wade.
Oh, man, Mark Wade's probably just like, ah, ha, ha.
Yeah, right.
I can't imagine like that royalty check that comes in.
I guarantee the I can't even pronounce her name. Karen, her buddy, Princess Leia's like fighter pilot friend. I guarantee you she shows up in like in a movie. I guarantee it.
No.
He keeps saying that.
She's gonna show up.
Hey Jacob, tell our listeners where they can find you on the interwebs and where they can find your book.
Goners is basically we have a fan web Facebook page. Sorry, that was really bad. So anyway, we have a Facebook page for
We
fans.
have a MySpace that you can find us on.
Sorry, I got distracted by something outside the window and I just totally like fucking froze. Anyway, it's at facebook.com/GonersComic. And then for me, For Twitter, it's at Saxon Jacob, so it's SAXONJACOB.
Yes. Awesome.
That's
Well,
Twitter.
the book is super great, man. If you like monsters and like crazy cool bump in the night stuff with a family of hunter type folks, please check out Goners. Check out
Please.
Jacob because the book is awesome and we want to see more of it. So thank you for talking to us about that, man. Can you talk some Week in Geek stuff with us, Jacob?
Sure, let's do it.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, it's everybody's favorite time. It's time for the Week in Geek, and since Casey Walsh has been gone forever, we'll have you go first. What's up, buddy? What do you got this week?
All right, I'm gonna go really fast because I want to talk about Star Wars some more,
Yes.
which is strange for me. This is a very odd occurrence.
I know it's very strange. So yeah, we definitely hurry up.
I have like a stormtrooper boner right now. It's very weird.
So it's white and plastic.
I was just gonna say, is it
Yeah.
white and shiny?
No, it is chrome and silvery. That's what it is.
Ooh, even better.
It matches the one my wife has in her drawer. Ding! Oh, yeah.
Is Disney? They've took those to market now. Disney has. Okay.
That was nice, Casey.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised at this point. What were we talking about? Okay, so first thing off, I'm just gonna say this one time because it's obviously apparent and the internet knows and the world knows that Daredevil is amazing.
Oh.
If you're not watching it, go watch it. It's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
What I read this week, I read Convergence 2 along with Brad. I thought it was okay. It's not my favorite thing that's happening right now, but it's I don't know. It's whatever. I don't know what DC is doing. Like I just don't know what they're doing anymore. It's like okay. Like Brad, did Batman Endgame ever end? Like when did that last issue come out? When is it coming out? Like if they're doing
Batman
Convergence,
Endgame is coming out after Convergence, which is confusing because
fucking
so
stupid.
far the New 52 continuity isn't in Convergence. So I don't understand the point of stopping
I
that
thought it was
continuity.
I thought it was they were keeping the continuity. They were just not going to call it the New 52 anymore. They were just going to make it like the DC, whatever.
It's the
I don't
same
know.
continuity. It's just not called the New 52, but that mainstream continuity isn't in Convergence right now. Like it hasn't appeared. in
Yeah,
any
it hasn't
book.
showed up. I
Yeah.
know. It's so fucking weird. Anyways, another leak thing that
Casey,
came out about Batman.
did you
Hold
see
on.
who-
Wait. Go ahead.
Sorry, so I think you're about to get to it. You saw who was in the bunny suit.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
the fucking bunny suit comes out, and like I don't know why they spoiled this so early, but somehow Jim Gordon ends up being Batman at some point in a robotic bunny suit. This fucking shit is getting out of control. Like I don't know what's happening over there. Yeah, like the new Batman suit, like for some reason, like after Convergence, like Batman, something happens to Batman, obviously, and Jim Gordon takes over, and he's like in an Iron Man suit, like an Iron Man style suit, but it looks nothing like a bat. Like it literally looks like a blue and white bunny. I'm not exaggerating. Like if you first look at it, like there's no bat association with it whatsoever except for the symbol on his chest. Like
It's like
you
Chappie.
take that off. Yeah, it looks so weird. It looks like Chappie. Yeah, with longer ears.
And Chappie?
So I don't know what's going on over there, but I still pay $4 for every issue, so they must be doing something right.
Yeah,
I'm
me
just
too.
probably what it is.
That's a good question. Here's a question for you guys.
Yeah.
So I've been finding out a lot of these books that people have been reading a lot of are $3.99. What do you feel about that? Is that like, does it chap your ass a little bit that between $3.50 and $3.99?
Well,
Do you go, oh, this book's $3.50, it's much better than $3.99.
Do
Do
you-
you go for that book instead?
DC, it kind of ticks me off because it wasn't too long ago they had the saying drawing the line at $2.99, and that lasted like 2 months. So
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I rarely look at the price. Like if I like a book, I'm gonna get it probably regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
I
because
love that.
I'm of means and I don't have to like really worry about money too often, like how much
King
I'm
of the
spending on
castle.
comic books too much. Yeah, I'm not trying to say I'm like, oh, I'm super rich and look, I drive my Bentley to the comic book store, but like I'm just saying like I don't like when I was in college, like I never bought comic books because I never had money. Like I was
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So like now that I have money, like I don't even think about it. Like I'm just like, oh, I'll just buy this. Like I can now. So like I don't know, but yeah, I'm sure it does chat people. Like I would like, but Image, like I know you're comparing because Image Comics sells theirs for $3.50, and I think their comics are better anyway. So that's only like an even more of a selling point to be like you can get this shitty Convergence comic, or you can get fucking Goners.
Right.
I
I
was not
haven't rated it below an 8.5 on geekswithwives.com, guys. Come on.
I'm sorry, it's not terrible. It's just weird. It's so strange. I just don't know. What else did I read? I read Black Vortex, which is going on way too long, and I don't know what that shit's doing either. Cause it's just like, oh, let's just give everyone like godlike powers, and so you can see what it's like. So you can, I don't know, it's weird, but it's fine. It's got Guardians of the Galaxy in it, so once again, I'm just like stuck in obligation. Like it's an obligation at this point.
So it's like, what if I took PCP, basically?
Yeah, no, totally. It's like this mirror. It's like a mirror, and it like turns everyone like into the Silver Surfer, so they have like cosmic power, but they all look super cool. So I feel like it was just a way for Brian Michael Bendis to kill some time before like Secret Wars. So he's like, I'll just do this big event, and we can have a lot of fun and make a bunch of different costumes. It's in space. So it's like, and that makes it that much better.
Space.
So I don't know. It's fine. What else did I read? Oh, there was something else. It must have not been that very good. Man, what came out this week? Convergence, fucking Star-Lord. Oh,
Luther Strode? Or no, that came out last week.
Oh, Jupiter's Legacy. I read that trade, which I loved very much. Mark Miller is usually he's pretty good. So if you like the classic like kind of superhero story like Superman, but like what happens if like Superman's kid like is an asshole, then check out Jupiter's Legacy. But it's super gory and like graphic, so you gotta just be prepared for that. It's a Mark Miller book, so it's nothing unusual for him. But I really liked it a lot because I dig superheroes and that kind of like what happens if they turn to dumb at or bad at, like what happens if they turn evil? They just do whatever the fuck they want. So
yeah. Just read Kingdom Come. That's all you really need for that.
Yeah, it's cool. And then they're doing like the prequel now, which is Jupiter's Circle, which is so that's why I was reading that so I could caught up.
And that's been an option for a movie too. Jupiter Ascendant's already been like greenlit.
That guy shits on fucking a parchment paper and it gets option for a movie now. So
shit the movie.
There.
Yeah.
Like in Idiocracy, it's just gonna be like a guy farting, like by Mark Miller. I'm not saying Mark Miller's writing's bad, but I'm just saying like I could just do whatever he wants at this point because those movies make a ton of money and everybody loves them.
Yeah. Have you ever read? He's big on the shock, the jaw dropper, right? Like Nemesis. If you ever read that, that was the most screwed up thing. Some of the aspects of that book that I've ever read, but
yeah, he always makes his villains do like the worst possible thing, like ever. Like just to
like rape is a necessary trait of all of his villains.
Yeah, pretty much. Which is, I mean, I can do without the rapey, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Anyways, taking it to a dark place, Brad. Jesus Christ.
What are we gonna do, rape?
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good at all.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the rape either. I gotta agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm done because I can't remember what the other comic I read was, and that's really bad. Damn. Oh, Thor number 7. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot. Fantastic. It's leading up to like the reveal of like who female. I hate calling her female Thor is, but that's the only way you can describe her.
Yeah. But
who Femme Thor is? Yeah, the current.
It's okay. Piper's not on here. You can say that.
No. I think she would agree with me at this point. The girl Thor. They finally are like leading up to reveal who she is, and it's a really cool moment of her like fighting the destroyer, which pretty much anyone that picks up the hammer at some point has to fight the destroyer. So it's her like moment of fighting that, and it's very like a very powerful moment for her because she like stands up to the destroyer and like shows that she's just as worthy to hold the hammer as Odin and all this cool stuff. Yeah. And then it has the best like cliffhanger page like Marvel's ever put out ever. And I totally spoiled it on Twitter, so you can go look at it if you want. But I just can't wait to see issue 8 and finally find out who female Thor is. They've been kind of leading it up to this character, and so I wonder if it is going to be her. It seems like a little obvious for Jason Aaron to be like, it's going to be this, like everything's pointing to this person, so it's definitely going to be this person. So I guess we'll kind of wait and see. But it's getting exciting in the Thor world.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, that's it for me.
Mr. Brad Bill, take it away, brother.
I also read Convergence number 2, and even though it wasn't in the main DC continuity, we get a very cool moment where we get to see Bruce Wayne meet Thomas Wayne. For as far as I can recall off the top of my head, I'm sure maybe it's been done somewhere, but for the first time since I've been reading comics, which is about the past 15 years, and it's not much is said. It's in a very subtle way, and just the splash page of kind of Bruce's facial expression when Thomas leaves. Just as a lifelong Batman fan and something kind of teased at the end of Flashpoint, I thought that was very cool, and that really elevated Convergence #2 for me. I also read Bloodshot #1 by Jeff Lemire. Now, the art in this was great. I believe it was by Miko Solan, if I'm kind of pronouncing that right. I hope I am. The art was kind of a mix of like that classic image, like McFarlane, Spawn type art, along with a little more modern touch of somebody like maybe Steve McNiven. Love this book. It's great. They humanized the Bloodshot character that Valiant made famous in the 90s, and then they kind of destroy it with the Aurora, Colorado allegory. The first thing Bloodshot has to deal with is taking down a movie shooter in Colorado. So that's always
you're such a liberal, Brad. Get out of here with your liberal idea.
Hey, you're the guys in California. I'm in North Carolina, but yeah.
Oh, really? We couldn't tell.
Yeah, you could? Okay. Nobody's called me a hick yet, so we're good. Okay. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was that's like we were discussing in the pre-show. I was discussing with our guest tonight. It's always polarizing when you pull from those real world events. I also, like you guys, I got to check out Daredevil, and I have to say I'm digging it. I'm only 6 episodes in. I haven't been able to binge it, but the best way for me to describe it is Arrow's super dark and gritty. Flash is the light-hearted, kind of more campy thing. This is kind of, I know it's not DC, it's Marvel, but this is somewhere in between that. Yes, it's gritty. Yes, there's violence. But the stuff between Matt Murdock and Foggy and Karen Page is just very organic and very heartfelt and comedical at times, and I'm just really digging that show. It's one of the best things that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has put out. Yeah. So that's about it, besides the Star Wars trailer, and we're getting there.
We're almost there. It's almost there.
We should have a countdown clock in the corner.
Yes, the countdown down.
Till we start talking about Star Wars.
Jacob, did you have anything overly geeky or awesome you did this week?
Sadly, I've been on crazy deadlines, but I have a couple cool things, but they're not, they're geeky, but they're not straight up. Like, I didn't read any comics. I didn't go to my shop this week. Saw Ex Machina in the theater, which is Alex Garland's new film. It's okay, so as of right now, I hate doing this thing, but as of right now, it's in my top 5 of the year. Like, I don't really have a lot of movies in my top 5. I'm just saying that so I'm safe. Mm-hmm. But this movie is probably one of the most enjoyable movies I've seen in a while. Wow. It's got a Kubrick feel to it, with kind of mixed with like a weird Danny Boyle sensibility of just crisp science, and the way it looks is very organic. It's pretty much a two-hander the entire movie, where it's between like 2 characters. Mm-hmm. It's in a remote location. There's like aspects of it that I feel that the claustrophobia of the situation actually lends to certain comedy, which is really cool. Right. And all the actors are just fantastic. Like Oscar Isaac, I think it's like his best thing he's ever done. I mean, I'm sure we'll start talking about Star Wars.
Until episode 7, all right? All right.
I was trying to tie it all in. But yeah, I mean,
it was the best pilot in the universe, guys. The best pilot in the universe. All right, sorry.
So I saw that. I saw all of Daredevil as well.
Oh, you finished it, huh?
Yeah, actually, I binge watched it in 2 days because I knew I was going to be on a deadline, so I stayed up and I watched it.
So Daredevil's going to show up in Guardians of the Galaxy at some point.
Sweet.
Oh my God! If they did a Daredevil cartoon for like an older audience, I would just freak out.
In all seriousness, they're saying the Defenders. This just broke right before we came on. The Defenders are rumored to be in the last Avengers movie, Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2.
I don't think that's a surprise to anybody.
I just love how they have this advanced slate to like 2023, and they're just like, guess what, guys? It's like, holy shit, how far have you thought? Like the fact that they have this many plans is just crazy to me.
Oh, believe me, when Avengers made $1 billion, they're like, oh shit, we better get fucking going. We need to keep this money train going as long as we can because it's gonna run out at some point again.
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised. There's a lot of studios that they're not that well organized and put together when it comes to properties. Like
no shit, DC.
Yeah.
Mixing properties together. Yeah. So just the accomplishment, like Kevin Feige, just what he's been able to like pull together with like everyone else. Like I mean, I'm sure there's a million other people that are helping him out, but he's like the figurehead of this whole thing. The fact that he can like keep it together and make all this stuff happen is just insane.
DC doesn't have Warner doesn't have Kevin Feige, that czar that holds it together, that understands not only the characters from the comics, from the origin, but how to make them work on film as well. Warner Brothers needs that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened to Mark Miller? Wasn't he doing some Fox stuff for a while?
Yeah, he's supposed to oversee the Fox cinematic universe, which is just Fan 4 and X-Men, but nothing's moved forward as far as meshing those two together.
Okay, I thought there was gonna be a thing where they like put them. Whatever.
Well, the only way you could bring them together is Franklin Richards. So I mean, you got a while before you introduce him, I guess, because he would be the only thing that would kind of mesh those two things together really well.
Yeah, or just get a mutant. I mean, you can use that word.
Fox can, yeah. Fox can.
Yeah. Anyway, so moving on. I saw Daredevil. I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually, enough to binge watch it. Yeah. I think I'm not. I'm one of those people that when I like something, I'm like, cool, that's great. But then when all of a sudden I start seeing people like freaking out about it, like it's like I've had people say that it's actually better than Breaking Bad, and it like my mind immediately goes to now I don't want to like this anymore. Like, I don't know why. Just like a flip turns in my head where I'm just like, you guys are just overblowing this. It's a good show, though. It is a good show, for sure. I hate when people overblow things like that. But I saw that, and then I saw, and this isn't really geeky, but it impressed me from season to season, all the way through, even to the last episode, Justified.
Oh, God, I love that show, and I'm, like, behind on the final season. Raylan Givens, Timothy Elephant is one of the best actors, the best characters on TV.
Did you say elephant?
Elephant. There you go. Hey! Carolinian here.
Well, I promised you that the last season pays off for sure. But that was great. And then in comic news, yeah, I don't really have a whole lot that I bought last week. I buy mostly in trades, which is I'm my own worst enemy at this point because I blame everyone for trade waiting, it's insane. But I live in the tiniest apartment, and I used to have like these massive long boxes that I had to end up getting a storage unit for. So now I'm kind of just like that guy that's like, okay, I'll get it in trade, and I hate it because I'm my own problem. So, but yeah, I mean,
don't do that.
Yeah, digital. Actually, that is actually a very real thing that I do.
No.
The cool thing is, the cool thing is that I can keep it on my Kindle or not my Kindle, my iPad. But for the most part, though, I always buy the trade when it comes out. So I have a large collection on a shelf that's kind of like in a book format. So instead of having actual books, I have a Kindle, and then everything else is straight up trades. And I know I just broke everyone's heart by saying that, but I have to be realistic in my apartment.
So when that OkCupid date comes over, you make sure to leave the Kindle out and on. Just be like, okay, so she knows I'm not just into like comic books. Like, here's like my
Hunger Games collection,
my economics collection, and my
yeah. I have it next to like just all the smart things. No, my girlfriend moved in last year, and in doing that, I feel like a lot of stuff really had to be thought about. So I ended up getting a storage unit, and we're looking to get a bigger place, which hopefully at that point I can start, delving back into my love for comics week to week.
Once they option the Goners movie, you'll be good.
Yeah, here's hoping. I swear to God, I'm gonna knock on this wood right here.
My wife just thought about moving everything to my office, so that's where it is now.
Yeah. I can't imagine. It's like you're working. It's like Milton from Office Space. You're just like in the basement with like all this shit around you, talking about your stapler, babbling on and on like incoherently.
Excuse me. That's the let's bro.
You're making me think about my life choices now, Jacob. Thank you.
Awesome.
Well, what did you read?
I haven't read nothing, man.
Okay,
I
cool.
read nothing.
Oh, Star Wars.
That's because I went to I drove 3.5 hours, which I know you think I'm absolutely crazy for.
You're
But
insane.
cool. I love it. But I drove 3.5 hours to Hollywood, California, and I was one of the crazies who camped out at the red carpet premiere of Avengers: Age of Ultron in dire hopes of getting Robert Downey Jr.'s autograph, which didn't happen again. But I did get my beautiful Phase 1 Cinematic Universe Limited Edition case signed by pretty much the entire cast of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., or the main cast anyways.
That's cool, though.
Yeah, and so that was really exciting. It was an absolute madhouse. I got to hang out with a bunch of other crazy Marvel fans who were all in costume too, and it was just you wouldn't associate that kind of thing. I mean, because the first time I did it was basically just standing around for 8 hours. And this didn't seem so much like that with other people and friends, and it just seemed like a really fun thing. And we got interviewed by a bunch of different, websites and shows from Japan and crazy stuff like that. So it was really cool. I got to see Robert Downey Jr. at least, but other than that, lots of exciting stars and stuff. So, anyways, talk about Star Wars.
Bring it around.
Star Wars.
Well, I was on my way to a meeting after work, and I had to, when the text started coming in, I pull over in a parking lot. I don't care if I'm late for the meeting. Pull it up on my phone, get the Bluetooth speakers cranking.
Yeah.
And I just had to say, like, my initial impressions, it's new, but it's nostalgic, right? It has all those classic feelings, but it doesn't, it feels big in scope, but it doesn't feel like it's bombarding me with things like the prequels do. And I have to say that at the end, that last line, Chewie, we're home, by Han and Chewie. Now, I know they probably mean the Millennium Falcon, but to me it was such a meta comment. Whether you saw it in 77 or 97, Han, Luke, Leia, Chewie, R2-D2, 3PO, you're home when you're with those characters if you love them as much as we
totally think that was their intention. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I loved it, man.
It also confirms, that last scene also confirms that he's not in ownership of the Millennium Falcon probably at the beginning of the movie. Like, he has to get it back at some point. Yeah. Like this scene where it's flying through that down like Star Destroyer, like, holy shit, man! Yeah. Like, that is so cool. Like, this movie just looks cool. Like, that's one thing that the prequels are missing. Like, they did not look cool. Yes, I am an editor of a website, people. They
were lacking something, huh?
Yeah, they just felt so like inorganic and so like forced and so like
they look pristine.
Yeah, it looked too like clean. You're right. And this world looks dirty. Like it's the Empire has fallen. There's like a giant Star Destroyer like crumbling on a planet.
Yeah.
There's like all the stormtroopers are different. And apparently they're not even like affiliated with the Empire anymore. They're called something else. They're affiliated with something else or like a branch of the Empire. So like there's this whole story that's centered around our original family still, but it's not at the same time. Like, we're gonna get these new characters involved, and somehow they're gonna have to connect with the original family. And I really like this aspect of them building the world more and us seeing like more of like Star Wars than just like Luke and Leia and Han and stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be honest. I got a little teary-eyed when I saw the preview, man, because it was like, I mean, Star Wars has been something that's been a huge part of my life for so long. I have so many great memories, so many amazing people I've met because of Star Wars, and that's all just got brought back seeing this trailer this morning. And I mean, I for one am definitely a lot more comfortable, I guess you could say, not so scared about how it's gonna change now that somebody else is at the helm. I'm definitely really excited now. I went from I'm still gonna be on the fence about it to just full on geek mode. So I cannot wait to see more from it because I am so stoked.
The feeling I got when I first watched it is that it looks like this is if somebody said, we're making episode 7, here's a great fan-made trailer for it.
Yeah.
All right, and you watch it, you're like, oh my God, wouldn't it be awesome if they really made this?
Yeah.
And then when you sit down and think about, like, holy shit, they are making this, and this, in a way, is a fan film. J.J. Abrams loves this stuff as much as we do, and I know he's going to get paid millions of dollars, but I bet you in his heart he would have done this for free. He loves these characters so much, and that is what gives me so much hope about this.
It is such a fan film that there's a chrome stormtrooper with a cape.
Yes.
And I guarantee you that's what's her name, Gwendolyn Christie or whatever from Game of Thrones.
You
I'm
think
calling
so?
it now. I guarantee you that's her.
Good guess there.
She's supposed to be like hunting like John Boyega's character. What's his name? Not
Finn.
the girl Finn. There you go. I was gonna say Ren. There's you, right? R-E-Y. Is that how you say her name? The girl. And then Finn.
Yeah.
Weird names.
Yeah, I have this feeling that the Stormtroopers, it's almost like a Fall of the Empire type thing where now they're kind of like aimless, samurai, like almost like Ronin.
They're Ronin, yeah.
Yeah, they're like Ronin, and they have to. I feel like there's a lot of there's still a branch of the Empire that exists still, but I feel like a lot of them are aimless and they don't know what to do, and they're trying to figure their way around. And that's kind of the idea that I got from what's going on, especially when you look at like all the things that kind of really shaped Star Wars in general, which was a lot of what was it Kurosawa's film, Fortress, man, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a lot of things that he bases it off of, like just straight up old school Japanese samurai movies that he based a lot of Star Wars around. So I have a feeling that it's going to have that kind of vibe to it, where it's like these people are trying to find their own way now, like the Stormtroopers. So it's going to be a lot of different factions, I feel. I don't know. That's what I get from the trailers, at least, because I don't understand the John Boyega thing, which I'm so happy, by the way, that he's in that movie.
Yeah.
Attack the Block was like amazing.
Oh yeah.
He was good in that and the latest season of 24. But Kylo Ren, when I first saw the preview, it went so quick. I was like, he just kind of looks like Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe. And then I look at still frames of that mask, and it looks like of course it's not the Vader mask, but it looks like it can be very iconic in its own right. So if you check out those, they're out there.
That's got to be Adam Driver, right? And I bet you that that the voiceover that Luke, I bet you that's who he's talking to, and that they're connected in some way.
Yeah.
Huh?
You think he's talking to Kylo Ren to the?
Yeah. Because I think because they're doing an homage to not an homage, but because they're using the first film as a basis, I believe it's gonna have that same kind of arc of like. This character has to rise and fall. So I think we're gonna see kind of Kylo Ren's like the very end of his fall, like the very beginning of his fall. So he's gonna have this conversation with Luke, like, "Hey, you're like us," and then he's gonna turn bad or be bad at some point. I could be totally wrong, but who knows?
That's a good speculation. I just hope they keep the character around for the long haul, because Darth Maul was such an interesting character, and of course he came back in the Clone Wars, and then boom, he's gone right off from the get-go of Episode 1. So
yeah. Well, Jacob, you as excited as we are about Episode 7?
Oh my god, I'm actually really excited. Every time I see a trailer, I get goosebumps. I literally had goosebumps I saw it 3 times in a row today.
Nice.
It was fucking crazy. And I saw a David Hasselhoff music video that also was equally awesome.
Oh no.
Oh,
it's on my Twitter.
Oh,
If you guys want to go on my Twitter, look for it. It's for this Kickstarter that was up. It was called Kung Fury, and it's just a crazy homage to like old '80s like shitty action films, but with like a weird new style to it. Which from what I get from it is that it's this cop in like the future who has to go back in time and stop Hitler, but he ends up going too far, so he ends up ruining everything, and he has to face off against like Norse gods like Thor, and he ends up like giving technology to like Vikings, like so Vikings have like machine guns and Hitler's riding like a dinosaur. It just looks insane, and so it got funded. But David Hasselhoff apparently did a music video for the movie, and it's on my Twitter right now, and it's amazing. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
I don't
So it
know.
was a good day.
I don't know
Good
how we
day.
can follow it up, so that's probably a good time for final thoughts.
Wait.
Go
I
ahead.
got more Star Wars stuff.
Yes.
So, BB-8. I'm telling everybody right now, parents, listen to me.
Yes.
Parents
Yes.
of small children.
Yes.
If you see anything with BB-8 on it,
Yes.
in it, anything
Yeah.
associated with BB-8, buy it, because that shit is gonna be the hottest thing since fucking Tickle Me Elmo.
Yeah, this
Like,
Christmas.
in
It
the
is.
entire world. Like
Yes.
that thing was made to sell 1 billion toys.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
They
I-
actually had it at Celebration, the actual droid.
yeah,
remote
it's crazy.
control.
It's like an actual thing that moves like that.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
god!
not CGI, it's crazy.
I guarantee, like Kathleen Kennedy saw that thing and was like, "Oh, fuck yeah." How make it a main character? Like,
Yeah.
how can we make this give this more droid, more
How can we
screen
make
time?
this the new R2?
Yeah.
So I guarantee you that's what it is. He will be the new R2, and they even had like an interaction
Yes.
on the stage today. It's so cool. Anyways, I am not the biggest Star Wars fan, but yeah, it looks so much cooler now.
What?
Oh yeah.
Will, before we wrap up, a closing question for us and our distinguished guest this evening.
Sure.
All right, out of Star Wars, Avengers: Age of Ultron, and Jurassic World, and feel free to throw in any other 2015 movie, which one are you most excited for?
Ooh, that's tough, man. Yeah, you and I were talking a little bit about
Yeah.
this before the show, and
I feel like I've seen Age of Ultron already.
I'm a Uber Avengers fan. You can see in the background here.
Yeah.
Those of you watching.
I mean, you are Tony Stark, pretty much, right?
You know, something like that. So but we've known that Avengers was coming since Iron Man 1, pretty much. You know,
Yeah.
at the end when Nick Fury said it. Okay. So definitely after Avengers blew all those records, we knew there was going to be more. That wasn't going to be it. We heard for years that we would never see another Star Wars movie again. Then the prequels came out, and we're like, okay, cool, that's it. There's no more. That's it. The thing we love so
The
much.
end of the story, yeah.
Yeah, we'll never get to see that in the theater again and geek out and go see it at midnight or 10 o'clock or whatever they do. And so now to see it in a new light, and it looks like it's an amazing new take on something we've all grown up, with and loved. I have to say I'm probably most excited by that. Yeah.
What about you, Mr. Semahn?
Oh yeah, no, Star Wars. That's
Star
not.
Wars.
It wasn't really hard for me. Yeah, Star Wars.
Casey?
I have an affinity for Avengers, but Star Wars fully trumps it, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, no problem.
I'm a comic book guy, and I have been my entire life. So I mean, Ant-Man for sure.
Yeah, man.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Although that scene. Oh, sorry, we're talking about Ant-Man now. That train scene where they're like fighting on the train track. That shit is fucking hilarious. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Thomas the Tank Engine?
Oh my god, that was so great. Anyways, okay, Star Wars for sure. Like that, like watching that trailer just made me want to like sell my family for an early ticket. Like I had no qualms, like no like second guessing. Like if like the Russians showed up my door and were like, all right, we got a screening here. Just give us the wife and child and we're good to go. I'd like, all right, here you go, and we're good. Let's do this. So, I Star Wars all the way. I'm kidding, by the way, NSA, if you're listening, totally.
Can I cut in with one thing? A
Yes.
close second is Mad Max.
Mad
I
Max.
swear to God, that trailer
Yeah, that looks
fucking
so
blows
good
my mind.
too. I cannot believe those are practical effects. Like how do they do that? That seems so dangerous.
It's Australia.
Do whatever they want.
No rules in
Australia.
Australia. Yeah.
Star Wars is just I love comic book characters and heroes, and it's something that's part of my everyday life before I wrote for this site and had my own site a while back, but it's just you knew that Avengers 2 was coming. You never knew that we'd get another Star Wars movie, let alone with Han, Luke, Leia, the Falcon. It is a geek dream come true, and it looks like it's going to live up to the hype.
Yeah. Well, it's like they've said for a long time, Star Wars is forever. And we'll close it up and go to final thoughts with that. Mr. Brad Bell, what do you got for your final thought this week?
My final thought is a rest in peace to Mr. Herb Trimpe, who is the first man ever to draw Wolverine, but even more so than that, he kind of defined the Incredible Hulk character, the Hulk that you usually see on T-shirts, the Hulk on coffee mugs. on Underoos, whatever. That is kind of his definitive version. So Herb Trimpe, dead at the age of, I believe, 75. Rest in peace. Thanks for all the great art. And as far as me, you can find me on geekswithwives.com and on Twitter at the Real Brad Bell, REEL Brad Bell.
Awesome, thank you, Brad. Mr. Casey Walsh, your final thought this week?
Go buy Goners, because if you don't, we don't get more. So that would suck. Go do that. Are you listening? Go buy Goners, Image Comics, support Jacob and his fabulous book, and also watch Guardians of the Galaxy coming to Disney XD this summer.
Yes, awesome, man. Mr. Jacob Semahn, final thought.
My thoughts go out to Ty Templeton and his wife. Ty Templeton just had a heart attack a little bit ago. As I guess broke on Facebook, but he actually drew a story in one of my Marvel Universe's Ultimate Spider-Man comics, and he always seemed like a relatively cool dude. So my thoughts go out to him and his family.
Awesome.
And then same. I echo statements with our Trippy. We wouldn't have Wolverine, and we wouldn't have the Hulk we have now without him. Yeah. So great work with that, and my thoughts go out for his family as well. So.
And he was the artist on the G.I. Joe comics for Marvel with that Larry Hama wrote for so many years. Yeah.
And those were cool.
Yeah.
I actually caught those in reprints, which was really, really cool. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of a downer note. I guess on an upper note, I'll be signing. So that's, I guess, an upper. Yeah. I don't know.
Go buy Goners from Image Comics.
Yes. I don't want to end on death and destruction, but so I'll end with just a plug for myself, I guess. Seems really poor taste, but whatever. I will be signing at Comics Factory in Pasadena. If you live in LA area, Southern California area, I'll be signing on Free Comic Book Day. So I think it's May 1st, from 11 to 7. So I'll be there, and then on May 9th, I'll be at Fat Collectibles signing on Saturday. Yeah, May 9th is what I said. And I'll be there from 2 p.m. to probably 7 or something like that. So come by and say hey.
Which store is that, Jacob? Because I know they got
I'm sorry. It's the one in Anaheim. Anaheim store. Forgot they have millions.
Awesome. And Free Comic Day is on May 2nd this year.
Is it May 2nd?
First Saturday of the month. Yeah.
You're right. Sorry, I suck.
No worries, man.
Free Comic Book Day. You guys should all go sign Piper's petition to get Poison Ivy her own comic.
Yes.
Go to @FizzGiggity on Twitter, and you can find it there.
Yes.
You can also find it on our site under one of her articles. Oh, I can't remember which one. I'm sorry. But go sign it, and make sure you guys are going to Geeks with Wives.
You can find it on the top 5, the article that I wrote on the top 5 potential female lead books from the big 2.
Oh.
Will, tell everybody where you're going this weekend, because you got some exciting plans in the works.
Speaking of Star Wars, I will get to spend the next 2.5 days immersed in all things Star Wars. I will be making the trip down to Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim, and this is actually my 3rd Star Wars Celebration, and also too, I'll be bringing you an interview from the cast of Star Wars Rebels. So I'm super excited about that.
Yes.
I will also get
My wife is so jealous she had to talk to Freddie Prinze Jr. She's so mad. She's like, why didn't we go to Star Wars Celebration? I'm like, I didn't think you want to hang out with a bunch of fucking Ewoks for 2 days.
Well, I do, so I will be there. So if you see me, come say hi. I'll be dressed up as Darth Vader a little bit of the time, because I can only handle about 3 hours in that costume each day. So come out and see me. The rest of the time, I'll be doing awesome press stuff, bringing you guys the latest and greatest in all things Star Wars. So definitely come by and say hi, and keep an eye on the site, because I'll be bringing you all that stuff afterwards. And again, real quick, for our awesome guest Jacob, you can find him on Twitter at SaxonJacob. And for everybody here, for Brad, for Casey, and for myself, we thank you for watching and listening. We'll look forward to seeing you next Thursday, and as always, we'll catch you on the Geek side. Boom!